Ms. Shweta Khurana, Senior Director, APJ Government Partnership and Initiatives, Intel. I request you all to please gather for a group photograph. Thank you all. Now we have a presentation by Ms. Pragati, who is a scientist with Ministry of Electronics and IT, providing an overview of IndiaAI mission with the focus on IndiaAI Future Skills pillar. Ms. Pragati, please.
Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this pivotal panel discussion on the IndiaAI, empowering talent through AI education and skilling. Today, we embark on a transformative journey to advance our domestic AI ecosystem, fostering inclusion, innovation, and economic growth through strategic partnerships with industry and academia. At the heart of this mission is a comprehensive and integrated approach aimed at creating a robust AI ecosystem. We envision an India where barriers to higher education in AI are reduced and opportunities for learning and growth are accessible to all. To this end, we are committed to significantly augmenting the number of scholarships for Bachelor of Technology, Master of Technology, and Doctor of Philosophy programs. By doing so, we aim to empower a new generation of AI experts who will drive our nation's technological and economic future. IndiaAI Future Skills is a cornerstone of our strategy. This initiative will coordinate with existing efforts to expand graduate and postgraduate AI programs, making them more accessible to aspiring students. By setting up data and AI labs in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, we aim to impart foundational courses in data and AI, such as annotation, data cleaning, data analytics, thus democratizing AI education and training across the country. The World Economic Forum predicts that AI will create over 97 million new jobs by 2025. This projection underscores the significant role AI is set to play in shaping the future of work. As AI technology evolves, it will generate a plethora of job opportunities across various industries and sectors, both in India and globally. To seize this opportunity, we must focus on creating a workforce that is well-versed in AI and prepared to lead in innovation, development, deployment, and operations of AI products and solutions. I encourage each of you to engage actively in this conversation, share your ideas and experiences, and think boldly about the future we can shape together. Let us harness the power of AI to drive positive change and make a lasting impact on society. Thank you all for being here, and I look forward to an enlightening and inspiring discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pragati, for that enlightenment. Now, we would like to play a message from our keynote speaker, Professor T.G. Sitaraman, Chairman, AICTE.
Namaskar. Artificial intelligence is reshaping the future of humanity across nearly every industry. It's already the main driver of emerging technology, such as big data, robotics, and the Internet of Things. Generative AI, with tools like ChatGPT and AI art generators, has captured the mainstream attention and will continue to be a technological innovator for the foreseeable future. The demand for technical expertise in these areas is rapidly increasing, presenting a significant challenge, ensuring that the workforce of tomorrow is adequately trained to meet the demands of these emerging fields. This is where the role of technical education becomes pivotal. The integration of artificial intelligence in education is not just a technological shift, it's a revolutionary change offering a wide range of benefits. The future of Indian education in the context of AI presents exciting opportunities for innovation, personalized learning, and improved educational outcomes. However, it also poses challenges related to equity, ethics, and workforce readiness that must be proactively addressed by stakeholders in the education ecosystem. Continuous learning, upskilling, and reskilling are essential to sustaining in this rapidly changing world. Integrating an AI-based curriculum into the Indian educational system is very crucial to prevent potential misuse of AI and ensure it operates within the ethical and legal boundaries. Leveraging AI's maximum and productive benefits for students, teachers, and society is very vital to India's development by 2047. The National Education Policy 2020 recognizes the necessity of strengthening technical education in emerging fields such as AI, IoT, cybersecurity, robotics, and blockchain. It aims to achieve this by developing a multidisciplinary approach to education, encouraging the integration of various fields of study. By embracing AI and remote learning, NEP 2020 aims to equip students with 21st century skills, fostering innovation, critical thinking, and problem-solving abilities essential for their academic and professional success in a rapidly evolving world. There are many misconceptions surrounding AI, but I would like to clarify that AI is not about recreating the human brain. Rather, it is about building systems that act like humans. AI involves analytics, problem solving, and automation based on the data, knowledge, and experience. While AI will undoubtedly transform our workforce, leading to the replacement of some jobs, it will also create new roles and new jobs. The true challenge lies in humans finding their passion in new responsibilities that require uniquely human abilities. AI coupled with quantum computing will revolutionize the way we work and educate the masses, enabling unprecedented computational power and innovative learning methods. This powerful combination promises to transform industries and education systems, driving advancements and accessibility on a global scale. Statistics indicate that the AI market size is expected to reach $126 billion by 2030, with global job opportunities in AI projected to be 97 million by 2025. This clearly indicates that job opportunities for humans will continue to exist alongside AI advancements. Our goal should be to create a technically sound workforce equipped with advanced skill sets, ensuring we are ready for the future. At AICTE, we are taking numerous steps towards AI education and skilling. Skill and upskill our faculties. We have partnered with Geo Institute for a faculty development program on artificial intelligence and data science. We have introduced minor degree courses in emerging technologies like AI, IoT, and blockchain. Additionally, we have collaborated with international companies such as Meta, Cisco, Salesforce, IBM, Adobe, and Amazon to skill our youth in emerging technologies and provide them with job and internship opportunities. Our AI and machine learning Indian language translation tool, Anuvadini, is also an outstanding tool. This is in-house tool translates books, text, audio, and video into 14 different languages, providing real-time translation of lengthy books with exact formatting in different regional languages. All India Council for Technical Education's collaboration with APNA brought AICTE Career Portal, specifically designed for aspiring job seekers to offer them AI-based resume creation and real-time notifications for new opportunities. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
A wonderful keynote by Professor T.G. Sitaraman on the changing landscape of jobs in India. And now to guide us through the exciting and insightful session, I am pleased to hand over the proceeding to Ms. Shweta Khurana. Ms. Khurana is responsible for driving strategic programs and initiatives with governments across Asia, Pacific, and Japan. Her present focus is on building public-private partnerships, programs to develop AI human capital. Ms. Khurana, up to you.
Thank you so much. Is this better? Yeah. Thanks and good morning. And such a lovely morning. It's raining nice outside, but it's so nice to see all of you here. And a very warm welcome to all the panelists. I will quickly set the context and then we can get into discussions. So just to kind of talk about what IndiaAI mission is kind of elaborating as on today. So India's #1 on the standard index of 2024 AI penetration. At the GitHub AI projects, we see India's been doing extremely well. We're just next to the United States. So our challenges when it really comes to AI skill development may be a little different from a lot of other nations. And when we talk about these challenges, right, specifically when we talk about demographic advantages, or we talk about cultural diversity, or we talk about economic diversity, today the idea is, if all of us want to come together to build an AI-ready generation, and when I say all of us, I'm really talking about the industry, the public sector, and the civil society, coming together to pick up a lofty goal on how do we really build an AI-ready generation in India, there are 3 vectors we would like to focus during our course of discussion in the next 1 hour. One is going to be on how the future of work is really evolving. It's going to focus more on, the new era jobs which we hear today, which were not prevalent till now. Whether you talk about an AI ethicist, whether you talk about an AI modeler, or in fact an AI auditor. These are the kind of roles which today we see where jobs are opening up. Now, India's largely had software supremacy to a major extent in the global domain. But given that we are moving into an entire environment of low code, no code, where AI literacy to AI knowledge creation can be a huge range of what the future of work jobs would entail. How do we get our youth ready to be a part of that? The second pillar is going to be really around the education system and how do we continue to make it relevant for employability. I still remember in 2020 when the National Education Policy was released and getting students from grade 8th to really understand what AI was all about and making it as a part or as a subject of study, like one would study biology or a chemistry, was role modeling how AI skills can be nurtured at a very young level. But given today what is happening is, and just this year, 250,000 students have given their class 10th board examinations in AI and scored extremely well. But then the question or the challenge which really faces us is, are we going to be facing an AI divide like we saw a digital divide in the last 2 decades? Because these are largely schools which have access to AI infrastructure and can go and build indigenous AI projects, whereas most of the other schools, colleges may not have access to relevant infrastructure to be in a position to create and innovate or to build new knowledge on AI. Each one of us here is an AI consumer as we stand. Every student who has a smartphone in his or her hand is also an AI consumer. How do we really take them to become AI knowledge creators is the second part of the challenge statement. The third and the last part is how quickly our technology in AI is evolving. Just to keep pace with AI and then Gen AI and now agentic AI.
So AI taking off its roots right from, as you rightly said, 8th standard itself, in the school education. When it comes to higher education, at least in AICTE, in the last 7-8 years, we have been asking institutions to have not only full BTech courses in AI and data science, but even for students who are taking their courses in civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and other disciplines, to have a minor in AI and data science, to have subjects whereby they get empowered, because the applications of AI are not only in the field of computer science and data science, but they are affecting agriculture, they are affecting healthcare, they are affecting education itself. And therefore, we wanted that AI should become part of the life of the students themselves, and right from school education to many times industry bodies, NASSCOM, FICCI, they say our students are not ready for the future of the work. And therefore, and on the other side, there are not enough jobs as well. So significant, that means research in AI. Maybe right now, only few institutions like IITs or IISc are doing state-of-the-art research in these areas. But India, with its biggest human capital, talent capital of the world, I'm sure, although we are talking about how do we empower our talent, they are naturally talented. And therefore, when we observe some of the hackathons which we had engaged, solutions given by our students of second year, third year engineering students are far superior to some of the best known industries or organizations like ISRO, and they have given that solution. That means more than providing education, giving opportunities is a major thing, and that is what is missing in our country quite a lot. And that's where, when you asked me the question about examination system or evaluation system, how do we evaluate and give a journey for a student which will empower him or her at the end of that particular program? And that's why, using AI, how do we transfer the knowledge to the candidate and where pitfalls are there, identifying them and taking their journey forward in the right direction. That is where again AI is useful. So one of the platforms which we developed to support startups was National Educational Alliance for Technologies, NEET, under which there are about more than 200 odd companies, 300 products which are onboarded. Some of them, of course, are plain, but most of them have AI content. They conduct a test, know what level of understanding, knowledge a student already has, and in order to complete his program or to become employable, to become entrepreneur, what all is needed, they are guided by a path which may be different for different students. And that is where personalized learning comes in. And so I think all our education system should be geared around asking even our examination papers need not be the same for all. They may be personalized in terms of depending on what they have understood. We normally, whether it is entrance exams or our college exams, university exams, we want to test what they don't know. But what we need to test is what they know, and then how do we make use of that, what they know, to further into a domain where they will become excellent in that domain. Because not all are same. So someone will like some subject, someone else will like some other subject. Identifying that and then giving correct impetus to the growth of the student or empowerment of the student. That is the most important part. So coming back to using AI, we are also aware of OpenAI, ChatGPT, and many teachers, when we have some kind of seminars or workshops, they keep asking, give any assignment, today ChatGPT give you the assignment's answer. So what will happen to teachers' role, whether it is as a teacher or whether it is, how do we evaluate such students? I think the right way of teaching students is not to say that don't use it, but allow them to use the technology, AI, OpenAI, and in fact I am proposing that Bharat AI should also come in, because our cultural ethos, diversity is quite different from what it is there in the West. So we have to empower our students from our Indian knowledge systems, which is so powerful. Ancient sages had done much more than what present scientists are aware of in terms of consciousness, in terms of brain development. I think we need to make our students to be aware of it on one side. And on the other side, making use of this entire tool of AI, how do we engage with our students in order to create next generation of AI, which is more intelligent, but at the same time have human touch. And that's why we started a program of universal human values. Values are also equally important. Machine may give some answer, but how do we interpret it? And that's where our teachers should teach our students to ask the right questions to OpenAI to get the answers out of it. Because the manner in which you ask a question, the answer is going to come. And it will analyze the data and give that answer. Secondly, just merely submitting that answer is not good enough. They have to understand that, they have to know it, and it is not just merely reproduction or memorization, but beyond that, as we say in Bloom's taxonomy, higher levels of learning, including what we say, going up to creation of new knowledge, but also critical thinking, analytical ability. If the answer given by ChatGPT is understood fairly well by the students, and in the classroom, if the teacher twists it a little bit, then the student who has understood it properly will answer to that question. Otherwise, the student will fall flat. And that's where evaluation begins. And therefore, use of OpenAI, AI is very important. But how do you make use of it is one training which our teachers as mentors should take care of. I think I will stop at this. Thank you very much.
Rightly pointed out is the opportunity, and the very fact when you spoke about Bharat AI, that makes us extremely proud, because the integration of AI in education, for education, to improve educational outcomes, and to be able to assess in an independent, individualistic manner is actually the epitome of education, how we would really want to see it. So thank you so much for sharing your views. Now from assessments, I'm going to actually move to standards. So Joyce, my next question is to you. So as the Chief of Education, there was this entire State of Education report for India 2022. Oh, you're carrying it with you, all right. Which really talks about AI in education with what is happening. So when it comes to really putting down the standards, and what we heard from Professor Anil was, right, we should not limit students from using OpenAI or subsequently Bharat AI whenever that's available. in ensuring that the learning which they have is true to the learning of concept itself. But what we also realize is that many times teachers feel, how would they manage a classroom where students potentially have access to more knowledge than what is there in the textbooks? So what does the State of Education report for India 2022 on AI really talk about? How can we ensure that we can really approach AI standards and best practices which you would have possibly seen in India or heard from other countries?
Thank you, Shweta, and good morning to everyone. And thank you very much to Meiti for inviting me and listening to UNESCO's approaches and views on this subject of definitely increasing importance. So, around the panel, everyone is going to be saying here how to improve the knowledge and the skills of the future generation of Indian students and learners to become AI ready, as you mentioned. But I definitely, coming from the United Nations agency that works on education, want to bring in the humanistic approach. And you were mentioning about standards. And this is exactly what I was very happy to see all around. The quote, safe, inclusive, responsible AI for everyone. And I think that's exactly the thing that we wanted to stress as UNESCO, the ethics of AI. So, as we all know, AI carries significant risks when developed and deployed without inadequate safeguards, and these risks include exacerbating differences and conflicts, and both online and offline, the widespread dissemination of disinformation and misinformation, potential for increased discrimination based on gender, and I'm glad to see that there are more and more women coming to talk about AI, and race, ethnicity, and bias in job recruitment, as some of these panelists around me will be definitely saying, and even to weaponize generative AI to bullying children, and even which leads to very serious issues such as suicide. So therefore, there's an urgent need for ethical oversight and responsible governance of AI technologies. And UNESCO advocates for transparent and inclusive AI governance that prioritizes accountability. By emphasizing ethics in AI development, we can harness these technologies for the greater good while ensuring fairness, transparency, and respect for human dignity. Ethics in AI is the cornerstone of talent development and skilling, because you have all of these very intelligent, very talented learners and students in AI, but we also need to emphasize the common good, and that artificial intelligence is supposed to contribute to. And so the deployment of AI into the real world has already seen many controversies, and so the principles of transparency, explainability, fairness, non-discrimination, trust and respect for privacy have to be built into national governance frameworks and into teacher and student curricula. I wanted to just touch upon Professor Sarabuddha's speech right now when he mentioned that the AI that we develop also has to include Indian culture. That's exactly it, contextualization. And the curriculum and the content needs to be inclusive. It has to not only think about the multicultural setting of India, it has to also use the appropriate data to counter bias and discrimination, and not to only use data that's from weird societies, which are Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic societies. And all of these things, I'd like to say very happily, is that Intel and UNESCO actually worked 2 years ago to think about this in our documentation on AI in education. And I'm not plugging this, don't worry, it's open for the public. But these are some of just the standards, and UNESCO really wants to emphasize the ethical aspect of it. India is already part of the Global Partnership for AI. We are working together with India for the readiness assessment on AI, and I believe that India definitely is on its way to building a more holistic, inclusive, safe, and responsible AI. Thank you.
Thanks, Joyce. That was a great segue from assessments into really building a framework which can be scalable and sustainable, specifically extremely key to the way the communities in India would react to it. It's something which is highly localized. Professor Anil spoke about personalized learning, and you're talking about a framework which is completely tailored for India, for AI governance. With this, I'll move to Dr. Madan Mohan Tripathi. So, considering, given India's young population, we also talk about how you really need to build an AI mindset, skill sets, and create access to AI tool sets to create an AI-ready generation. So while mindset and skill sets is something which NILET does in a large way, recently you also launched the first IndiaAI data lab. So we'd love to hear your experience on where do you think the future generation is going to be when it comes to becoming ready for an AI world?
Thank you. Thank you, Sweta. And good morning, everyone. So if you talk about India, it's a huge population, and everybody needing the digital skills and AI skills. So a child from which is 10 years old to 70 years person needs some kind of digital skills and now AI skill. And that population is 100 crore in India. So it's a very complex thing, and the population is very diversified and situated in different parts of the country, which varies from highly urbanized location to the very rural part, and some hilly terrains where difficult to reach out many times. So in such kind of a scenario, creating a structure for skilling in AI, we will need a lot of things, because as the speakers are saying that and we have seen many reports that AI is going to change the job profiles. Many jobs will become obsolete and the new jobs will be created. And then we'll be seeing that a lot of new entry into the job market, and there are people who are already in the job market, they need to reskill and upskill themselves. So if you combine all those things, very different kind of a structure is required in India. We have certain structures, like we have a national education policy now. We have our AICT, UGC like regulators, and CVT like regulators. And many agencies who are doing the, like universities and organization like NILET and many sector skill councils. So there is a structure. We have to make best use of it to provide the skilling. And so we have to first work on the designing the programs. So the kind of programs will be required will be the degree diploma programs, which largely ICT and UGC will be designing, and already we have listened to the Sitaraman, they are already working on it. Then there will be a skilling program, which we know that now NCVT is there and there is an SQF system in the country where the skilling programs will be developed by the industry. Other than this, we need AI literacy programs also, which Intel is also doing, I think, with CBSE and all. These literacy programs will be required to different segments, not only students, to farmers also, to women, to different sections of the society. So such kind of literacy programs are there. I was discussing with Raghav, and he was talking that Gen AI is required for everyone, not only for the experts. So I mean that kind of Coursera is having such programs. And then we need application-oriented D programs also, which is sector-wise, like health sector, you are talking about genetic AI, life sciences, education sector, power sector. So deep learning application-oriented program where the huge data is available already, so that the actual applications are developed. And the one most important thing is the training of the teachers program, because that's a real problem and real challenge today. When you are going for the AI education, if you do the gap analysis, the teaching gap analysis, that what teachers can support students, because there's a huge number to be trained in India. So massive numbers, and we really lack good teachers. So these are the programs. When you are structuring for India, the skilling program, the first thing is that generate different programs for different segments. And then comes the second part, that what kind of infrastructure will be required. So obviously you need the physical classrooms and labs, but computing infrastructure is the most important thing. And since you told NILET has developed the first IndiaAI data lab, and obviously with Intel, and we understand that to run the large language models, the infrastructure is not sufficient, the computing power is not sufficient. And MIT under the AI mission is already working on to create such a high computing networks. So that's one most crucial thing, that how to create the computing infrastructure in a distributed fashion, every part of the country, so it is accessible to all the students. Because today it is mostly accessible to the students in IITs or some institutions. But there are a lot of people, what sir was saying, that the important thing is the opportunity. There is a talent, but they should get the opportunity. So until unless there is availability of highest computing infrastructure in every part of the country, those talents will never be able to use it and generate the things. And the third thing which is important is the data repository. Because whenever you are talking about AI, if there is no data, how can you do? There is a lot of data government is having. Like NILET is doing agri census for the country. Next year we will having every data related to agriculture in the country. What is the cropping pattern? What is the irrigation pattern? What seeds are grown? And every data will be having. But it should be available to everyone to do the research. Use it for development of models. So government has to also create a data repository in a very structured fashion, what is publicly available to the people for using and training their models and all. And then you need a delivery structure also. So if you're talking about the structuring, so whenever there is a delivery models, even though for sometimes the physical classrooms will be needed, but largely the virtual platforms will help to deliver the programs. And these virtual platforms will anyway be AI powered, because if they are not AI powered, it is not possible to do the justice. So we see so many platforms like Coursera and NEET, and a lot of integration, Future Skill Prime, and so many projects. NILET also has a virtual academy. So there are many platforms, but what I see, if in future if it can be integrated and restructured, then it will be much better. And these platforms should not only offer the technical programs, but it is also important, which others are saying, that you are creating a AI manpower, so it should have global use, not being used in India. So you have to train them in the cultural diversity of the whole world, because either they have to move physically across the world, or even they are work from home. That kind of cultural diversity they have to understand for every part of things. So the personalized learning will become important. The ethics in AI, NILET has a MOU with UNESCO for capacity building in ethics in AI, and also, so we are working on some projects will be launching very soon. And evaluation. Again, I will emphasize that evaluation is very, very important. Everybody talking about Bloom taxonomy and all. Today you see in India, there are students and evaluation are not standardized, because it's a huge number. AI can help. We can do away with the subjective kind of questions in future, because you have to test the cognitive levels. So AI can build a different kind of assessment and evaluation system, which will be fast, standardized, and that will help, to create certifications. And the last thing I would like to add, which is going to be more crucial. So many people are training and giving certifications. How to match and recognize the certification, that a particular certificate has delivered a particular outcome. So how you map it, and then how you map certifications of different countries to do the mutual recognition of certifications. So those are the challenges which will become, and for that AI is going to be the real help. And without that, it will not be possible to, structure the whole education and skilling ecosystem in the country. So these are the certain suggestions which I can make. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. You know, it's really interesting to see how all of you are painting a picture for the future of education. I mean, from personalized learning to having access to OpenAI in classrooms, personalized assessment, to making sure we adhere to the standards which are fair, responsible, equal, ethical, to the fact that access to teachers who can train along with using AI as a tool for better education quality outcomes, and access to an entire tool sets which are used to really build on AI. I mean, that's really exciting. So imagine if we can all go back to the fact that we were students again and we were living in that world, it'd be so different than the world we've been taught in. So going ahead, right, from higher education, my next question is to you, Amit, to really talk about, according to you, right, from a corporate standpoint, how can India position itself as a global leader in AI development? And what are the strategies, as corporates, which you would think of adopting to support the government in achieving the goals of India AI mission?
Yeah, thanks, Shweta, and great comments from all the other panelists. We did a study from IBM just to see AI adoption. This was last year, and this was across the world. What we found is that in India, about 59% companies, enterprise scale companies said they have already deployed AI. Another 27% are experimenting. And what was interesting is this was the highest amongst other countries. So there's a tremendous hunger in the industry. And I think part of it is because not just India needs it, but a lot of the delivery to the world happens out of India. And so that creates a huge opportunity for industry to shape the direction of AI and to participate in the skilling and capacity building in the country. And I think consistent with many of the comments made here, I think this needs to be looked at holistically in the sense that there are different levels. You mentioned 8th graders. I was thinking of my son who was in 5th grade, and he had this coding class the other day, right, where they were teaching him Python. He was very excited he could print a number. He was more excited that he and his friend opened up ChatGPT and asked it to write the code, right? Nobody taught them that. So it shows how natural it is once you make things accessible, right? And so at the school level, high school level, for instance, in IBM, we have a CSR program, and I think CSR provides a great way for industry to partner, through which we are making our skills build platform, one of the platforms that Dr. Tripathi mentioned, available to school students. We're making it available to higher education, faculty and colleges that are affiliated with many of the institutes and authorities in India, and also to vocational learning, right? Because there are so many learners out there, job seekers, who are wondering, how do I find a job? Or people who've been unemployed for a long period because they dropped out, or school dropouts, how do they get back into the system? We're making it available to them. And then I think the fourth tier here is the research sector, because unless we have in-house capacity in the country to shape where AI goes, we'll end up just being users, right? And so there we partner with, we have long-term research collaborations with some of the IITs, with ISC, to actually do joint research. And what we see that happens out of that is it creates a very strong talent pool. It's still small, but the more we can expand that by industry participating, that talent pool, then we also create some gravity for them to stay in India, right? Otherwise, we have a big brain drain problem. So we look at it in that way holistically. I think one of the other important things that many folks touched upon here is we really need to build AI for India, because the needs of India are pretty unique given the diversity we have, right? And the scale we need, the cost profile that we can work with. All of that is different from what OpenAI or the weird countries have come up with, right? And that is another place when we are thinking of skilling. I think one part is educating folks on what's already available and developed by the West, but that doesn't prepare you for what we need to build here. And this is another place where the industry can play a big role, because industry that's based in India, that is here and understands the market needs of India, when they are engaged in some of these skilling activities or projects, they can steer the learning towards what the country needs, right? And that can infuse that kind of learning into the process. So these are some of the areas I'd like to mention.
Thanks, Amit. No, this was a very interesting perspective, because what you're saying is education and skilling is not limited just to education as we see it in schools and colleges. It goes and transcends way beyond different age groups, different diverse groups, different communities. In fact, at Intel, when we launched AI for All in collaboration with Ministry of Education under CBSE and Digital India Framework, we today have reached a milestone of 4.5 million citizens who've gained basic literacy, AI literacy, just to understand how do you navigate yourself in a world which is fueled by AI. And from there to go on to what Professor Anil had said, really become creators of new knowledge, really be in a position to understand how to create for India, or what you said, that we need local India solutions. So how do we get a workforce which is tailored for that? That's a long journey which we actually have to take. With this, I'll move to Raghav at Coursera, right? So Raghav, according to you, right, what is the industry academia partnerships which you have for nurturing AI talent in India, and how do you really capitalize on synergies between both these segments?
Yeah, thank you. You started by saying the phrase AI divide, and it reminded me of three occasions I've been at in the last few months. Couple of days ago, I was at Infosys in Bangalore. They have 3.5 lakh employees, 350,000 employees. And the leadership was telling me the single largest focus for the company right now is skilling employees in generative AI. Single largest initiative. 3 weeks ago, I was at our head office in San Francisco, and we had about 100 university and industry leaders in a conference. And Stanford was there, Columbia was there, Manipal was there, IBM was there, AWS was there, Meta was there, and so on. So 100 leaders in the room. Over a 2-day conference, single focus was education needs to get ready for generative AI, right? And it's a challenge. There's so much cheating happening with ChatGPT, but there's also a general purpose technology. All of us should be learning generative AI. AI is a technical technology, but Gen AI is a general purpose technology. It's like Google search was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and so on and so forth. So a lot of focus on generative AI. 3 months ago, I was in a conference in Hyderabad, a higher education conference, about 100 vice chancellors in the room. And over 2 days, the word generative AI was not mentioned. So it's a moment of contrast, right? Industry is saying everybody should be learning generative AI. Some leading universities are saying, yes, AI, generative AI is extremely important. Let's bring that. And there are, at the same time, many institutions where this is not a conversation yet, because there isn't enough appreciation that this is going to change our world. It is already changing our world. You asked me specifically about industry, academia, collaboration. So far, there isn't enough faculty available in academia to be able to teach AI and generative AI. Not enough for the size and scale of our country. What we've done at Coursera so far is we've created about 300 courses. Many of these come from industry. So Google is teaching, IBM is teaching, deeplearning.ai is teaching. Some universities in India as well as in the West are teaching. So Vanderbilt University is teaching, IIT Guwahati is teaching, and so on and so forth. So we are seeing some of that. What we've seen so far is last year in India, every 3 minutes, and Coursera is a fairly sizable platform in India, about 25 million Indians come to Coursera to learn, 2.5 crore people. Last year, every 3 minutes, a person was coming and enrolling into a Gen AI course, every 3 minutes. This year, every minute, there's somebody coming and enrolling in a Gen AI course. So we are seeing definitely a lot of good momentum in learning on these courses. And you spoke about AI for everyone. There's a course called Generative AI for Everyone from Coursera's co-founder, which is the most popular. And for all of you in the room, if you haven't, one action item might be to go and check out that course. It's really wonderful. But what we're seeing is that there is definitely momentum in terms of learning, especially towards generative AI, given that it's a general purpose technology. But there's still a lot that needs to be done. In these 300 odd courses, 7 lakh enrollments have happened so far. Many of these are students who are in campuses in higher education. And 7 lakh is a nice large number, but then we have 4 crore students in India. So there's so much to be done. And what Dr. Tripathi was talking about, how do you reach so many students who are out there? Industry academia collaboration is extremely important, and what we've done so far is we've said, look, depending on who you are, you might need to learn different forms of generative AI. So if you're a general purpose user, generative AI for everyone is what you should be learning. If you're an academic leader, then Gen AI for academic leaders is what you should be learning. So how can generative AI come into your institution and help better with teaching and learning, help better with student experiences, and so on. And then finally, depending on what kind of a job role you're getting ready for, if you want to become a software developer, you will be a technical user of generative AI. But if you're doing an MBA and you want to become a digital marketer, that application of generative AI will be very, very different. And so we are seeing content related to that coming onto the platform and getting consumed as well. And then the last thing I'll mention is that IIT Guwahati launched a BSc in data science and AI on Coursera. It's an online program. And the idea is that for, getting into an IIT is, of course, getting into an IIT, not everybody gets to do that. But to increase access to AI-related education to everybody around the country who can come to the platform and take an online course is what a top institution in the country is doing as well. So still, a situation of contrast, like I started out by saying, but lots of good momentum already so far.
Thanks. Again, that's an interesting aspect because technology is evolving. Adoption of technology in the industry is evolving. So eventually, democratization of AI skills across all different user profiles, different age groups is equally important. So thank you for sharing the contrast with us. You also spoke about how do you really kind of align with the profile which any person carries and what are the skills required to upskill themselves. So I'm going to move then to Mr. Prakash Kumar from Wadhwani Government Digital Transformation. So what is the upskilling which you see in the public sector? How are government officials today really, kind of keeping pace with what is happening? And how do you see, what's the vision which you've seen from them to make the education system more forward-looking, to keep pace with the evolving technology as well as the evolving skill sets which are required?
Thank you, Sweta. What we started 2.5 years ago was to skill government officials on AI and machine learning, and largely it was classroom-based. And then we realized that no, we are not able to reach large number of people. And we switched over whatever we are teaching in classroom in a 2-day course on one subject, like Introduction to Emerging Technologies or Data-Driven Decision Making, AI for Digital Transformation. We converted them to online courses, put it on iGot. And I'm happy to share here that out of 3.6 million government officials who are there, 360,000, 10% of them have completed one course, which is Introduction to Emerging Technologies. Generative AI came November last year. By March, we had already put one course on generative AI on iGot. And things are changing so fast that we had to put another version last month. Because then what do we teach? So how are our courses different from what my friend Abid does? So, Raghav does. So what we do there is to put use cases from the government, how it has been applied in agriculture or in health or education, etc., and then tell them about what the technology is behind and how it is used. So that they are not burdened with coding or understanding complex things, but they understand application. And that's our intent when we started this course at the behest of Government of India. They wanted us to skill mid-level and senior people who are engaged in policy making, in policy implementation. How do they use to improve service delivery, AI as a whole? Second and very important one was, how do they measure impact of programs and schemes which are being implemented? Dr. Tripathi talked about data. Lots of data is getting generated. But then, are we using that data to generate insight? I'm not talking about training the model. That's a separate aspect altogether. But then how do we use that data to find out how are we achieving the outcomes? There are standard outcomes in majority of government schemes and programs. And then one is first find out that. Second, why is it working in district A and not working in district B? So what are the policy directives which could be given to district B, or they could be told, look, district A has these features which you don't have, or they are doing something which you are not doing, and if you do that, your implementation and your outcomes will also be improved. So that's what we are doing, trying to do, and it's fairly good that 10% is not bad, like 59% in industry, but the adoption part of AI is in single digit in the government. So our next effort is, skilling is not just merely for skilling them to understand, but to apply. So what we do in 2 days program, last 2 hours, 90 minutes to 2 hours, we spend ideation. Now that in 1.5 days you have seen how the technology has been implemented, and in your sector, generally we conduct one course for one sector, so that we have all the use cases from that sector only. And then we ask them, okay, now you come up with ideas, your problems, and then we help them to ideate. We have a template which we have developed over a period of time, in which they write the problems, how they work, and what could be done, and how it will improve. And then we have a tech team which goes through that, we analyze that, and those which are technically feasible, we give them an approach note. How do you can solve? And thereafter they are on their own. So that's what we are doing. Now let me come to what policy makers in field of education, of course, Professor Sahasrabudhe has already given lots of things, but we talked about integration of AI in curriculum. And you mentioned a figure, 2.5 lakh people who have taken the exam, but we have a huge population. How do we reach out to them? And what yesterday we heard from Special Secretary to Government of Telangana, they made in JNTU mandatory AI course for every subject. So that's the higher education. So it's mandatory. And then they also started a specialized courses where multidisciplinary people from any discipline can come and attend that. That's the need. Now, the moment we say make it accessible, the second point comes, are our government schools equipped with those labs? So we have someone who was heading AI mission, those Atal mission labs. But the need is to take these labs to all the schools, especially the government schools where large number of students go, and colleges, these labs, so that they can make use of that. Of course, Dr. Tripathi talked about assessment and all that. I won't get into, that's not my domain. But coming to skilling part, which we are very, very closely involved as foundation, the skilling, all these tools are making us, if we don't skill ourselves, they make us redundant. So how do we make our students learn more creative way of thinking, complex problem solving? Those are important. In fact, Professor Sahasrabudhe also talked about it. Let it be an open book. Like when I was a student at IIT, many courses were open book. And those were more difficult than the closed book.
I would agree with that.
Yes. So we should do that part. And the last one is vocational training. Again, coming back to our ITIs, vocational training institutes, and even polytechnics, majority of them, they don't have good quality instrumentation and labs. And especially if you have to train them on complex motor engines. Now today, the engines are much more complex than what used to be earlier. Now can we help them using AR, VR to learn and then do remote thing? Like suppose a complex tractor today is not working. Now the mechanic will take 2 days to reach there. Can we equip these locally available technicians to use these and make? So these are some of the things from the policy side we need to take care of.
Very interesting, because working with public sector officials and actually upskilling them to use AI for good governance, I think kind of completes the cycle. So you're reaching all segments. We're reaching citizens at large, we're reaching high schoolers, we're reaching those in vocational education, higher education, and then of course, why should public sector officials be not really leading the policy making process for true AI integration? I'm just going to pause here for a second because I think, Professor Anil, you have a hard stop at 11. So there is some felicitation which the organizers have planned. So just quickly, but they're insisting. I just got a note.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. I would request Dr. Madan Mohan Tripathi to please felicitate Professor Anil. Thank you, Professor Anil, for your insightful words on empowering students and personalized learnings.
awesome, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My bad, because the organizer sent me a note saying you have a hard stop. All right, so Amit, now we have. Right. So my question to you is really talking about, the industry trends which you see on developing AI skills, but what are the key challenges which you see in the Indian context? We've heard all the speakers, we've heard how they address different segments, different audience profiles, contextual to the way they should be upskilling themselves. So over to you.
Yeah, that's the beauty of being the last speaker, because now I have to generate some points which has been, because many of the points have been already taken by all the esteemed speakers. So to generate those points, let me ask a question to you, to audience. How many of you think that a spoon can be used as a knife? Did you get the question? Just raise your hand if you think yes. But still we are having knife, right? We are not using spoons as knife, but if needed we can use. That's the key point there, that in industry we need expertise who can create a solution for a customized use case and domain. We cannot really find a solution which is just working. We have to find a solution which is sustainable and which is really fulfilling the purpose. And that's where we have to really create the AI skilling, which was already talked by all the speakers, I think, that the application and use case is very important, which should be also coming from the industry. And then we have to figure out that, okay, how to use AI as a tool to find a solution which is going to create an impact to the society and obviously to create a business for industries. So just let me give you a background about myself. So I am coming from a background where robotics and AI have been trying to come together. I have been in this domain for almost 20 years. I was the chief scientist of SoftBank Robotics, where we created the paper robot, which you might have seen, the humanoid robot. I was the president and CTO of Hanson Robotics, which has created Sopia Robot, which is somehow famous. It has human-like face and expressivity. But behind all this, we have to create the intelligence. Even if a robot has to create a facial expression, how it will create that facial expression? Which kind of actuators it should have? If the robot has to interact with the people, how it will be interacting with the people? So the point which I am trying to say is that AI, being a mind, is now trying to get a body. This body can be somewhere sitting out of the AI as well, like AI is somewhere in the cloud, but it is using the sensors, it is using the body as the robot, and then it is trying to behave. When AI is starting to behave in the human-centered environment, those are the challenges which industry has to solve. How it should be behaving, how it should be considering the social, cultural context. We had very interesting project in the past where we tried to create social intelligence in the robot. So we are no more talking about the AI, the traditional AI, but the social, cultural aspect of those. It was very interesting because we put robots in different setup, like in elderly care facility where people are from different cultural background, social background, from the UK, from Japan, from Korea, from India. How this kind of system will be able to engage with those people to support in their day-to-day life in the way they are used to, in the way people are used to. And that's where is the new kind of applications which will be coming a lot. Personally, from my side, I have moved from robots on ground to now working on robots in space. We have to solve new kind of challenges for a space application. So we have to also start thinking about that what are the emerging technologies, because AI is going to be everywhere, it is already everywhere, how it can handle the emerging technologies and how it can create the new kind of job opportunities for the people. So there are lots of things which we can talk about. I am also involved in many initiatives like Global Institute for Robotics and AI, which is headquartered in Paris, where we are creating new kind of courses, and I think we have good opportunity to collaborate and push our learnings from that context to make a solution from the Indian context. I am also part of the co-founders of Global Initiative on Robotics, Arts and Science Synergies. I am also very much engaged in European Union Robotics Community, which is EU-Robotics. So we can really create this kind of collaborative ecosystem which is very much needed to learn knowledge, like exchange knowledge, exchange our learning, and then make the movement fast for the entire ecosystem. And with all these, I think we will be able to, I will let you go just after one sentence. Okay. So with all this, the vision is really that we should empower Indians to create the technology, to create the solution, and to lead the solution instead of only being the user. Obviously, we can consume AI, but how to contribute in the advancement of AI. That's where I think we have to move. So thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's a very fascinating conversation, right? Because human-machine partnerships is something which is so fascinating for all of us. Somebody had just asked this question. So how many of us would be comfortable if you're flying in an aeroplane and the entity sitting next to us is a robo? Will you be comfortable taking the flight or not? But that's just for us to think. Professor Anil, before we let you go, one sentence, if you have a wish list on what the future of AI in education, how do you build an AI-ready India? What would that one wish be?
So I think we have a great vision. We can be the future AI capital of the world. That should be the motto, and it's possible. We should start from the school, as I said, from the 5th standard. There are students of 1st standard doing programming, forget about 5th standard. I think that is India's strength. Let us use it, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Just to continue this one wish before I open it for questions to the public. Thank you so much. Thank you. So if we can just kind of go around the panel, if you are given one wish, what would you change to really build an AI-ready India when it comes to the future generation?
I would say every child and learner across India has access to what they need and the curiosity that they need to use.
Thank you.
So let them do the part from the consumer and industry side. The government, at least everyone, should be aware and they should adopt it fully, because if you don't do it, we'll be left behind.
Right. It starts with the government, always.
I'd say it starts with the self. I think instead of thinking students should learn it, faculty should learn it, somebody else should learn it, I'd encourage everybody to say, do I know generative AI? Do I know AI? Have I built my own skills? Start with that. That's always a good starting point.
Fantastic. Lifelong learning. So we all should get onto that train if we haven't already.
I would say an ethical and sustainable AI, which would then include the different cultural aspects, different contextualized issues of being an Indian citizen for the future as well as for now, and to include all sectors of society, including women, including those that are in the less abled societies, and of course, again, like I said, ethical and responsible and sustainable AI.
Thanks, Joyce, because if you want to live in a world which is fueled by AI better than the world we live in today, inclusion is most important and paramount.
Yeah, I would like to, collaborate with everyone and bring all these initiatives to the lowest level in the country. That is what is the most important, to provide the equal opportunity to everyone so that they can participate and contribute to the AI development.
That's a great vision, because certainly we don't want to see an AI divide like we've seen with the ICT divide, right? The digital divide has taken us almost 2 decades to reach where we are today. And an AI divide is not where we want to repeat that cycle.
Yes, so for me, I think we have to at least tell our young generation that 1 + 1 is not equal to 2. It is more than 2. And that's where the cross-disciplinary aspect of AI should be more visible, that AI is really becoming multidisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, and it is no more a technology. Everyone can contribute, even if you have background from psychology, sociology, or from where you are coming. So people should be encouraged to jump into this by seeing the multidisciplinary nature of this. Okay.
Thank you. And now we open it to the audience. Any questions from the audience? We can start with you, and then there are a couple of hands here.
My name is Gibson. I'm from UNICEF. I'm the Chief ICT and Digital Innovation at UNICEF in India. One question to the panel. Do you believe education for young people, or there's a risk with learning AI for the very young? And if there is a risk, what is it, and how do we tackle that? I've heard people talk about children here. I get concerned, as you know, or should we expose our children to the same platforms, to the same generative AIs as adults? So are there risks for children if they're exposed, or should we have a separate learning tracks for kids? Thank you.
Thank you. Amit, would you like to answer that, because you spoke about grade 3?
Yeah, I have no, I don't think it should be the same, right, as a parent. I do think, however, that the learning potential that AI provides for the little kids can be used. So it's not about learning AI, but it's learning better with AI. And in that process, if they become comfortable to understand what AI can do, what it should do, should not do, and grow with it, I think that can be powerful. But it needs to be curated. It cannot be the same thing that, say, middle schoolers or adults are looking at.
Thanks. Raghav, do you want to add something at Coursera? Do you have young learners as well?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on young learners per se, so this is more a personal example with my kids as well, but I would +1 what was said, that I would imagine the context is different, the controls, the learning would need to be quite different. I do think there are lots of opportunities for young learners to benefit from what this technology can bring to them, but the context needs to be different for sure.
Thanks. And I'll just quickly add to that is there's also a walled garden approach which we normally take with young learners, because it is being facilitated by the teacher, by a human teacher at the end of the day. I guess it will be delivered in a way which is easy for them to assimilate. But I completely agree with what both of them said. They cannot be excluded from the environment, because that's an environment which they've grown into. Thank you.
So what we are doing at UNICEF basically is we are actually looking at responsible AI for children. And we have been looking at trends around the world and how AI is shifting and how children, the guardrails we need to have. So I think it's good for us to look at that. It's publicly available, and you can look at that document. It will help you to understand the importance of really, as we move along this discussion, to really put the children at the center of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to add something, again, from personal experience. The more the children, small children, start using these tools to prepare their assignment, that should not lead to less critical thinking, because so the teachers have to play a very important role. Otherwise, what will happen? Oh, ask ChatGPT and it will give me. So you have to write a letter to your, like what we used to do, when write a letter to your principal or write essay. All those were done our thinking. But if you start using machines only, then what will happen to us? So that part, the teachers have to take care of that. So that's what I think he's worried. How will that take care of? I mean, how will that be taken care of?
Completely agree with you here.
I'm too excited. You're talking about teachers, but we're all teachers. And it doesn't mean that we have to be in a formal setting. I have children, but I'm sure most of you also have children. You have nieces and nephews or youngsters around you. And that's the thing, it's not just teachers, it's us as role models. Because my twins, they role model me and my husband. And the things that they say come back and I'm like shocked. Oh dear, did I actually say that? So what more about generative AI? If they look at us, the youngsters, children at early stages, how do we use AI? Be it Google, simple Google AI, things like that. It also depends on what we are giving them as role models, and that is also as important as the information that is found from AI. Thank you.
Thanks, Rose. And just to quickly sum up this discussion, because this is a question which kind of fascinates a lot of education systems around the world. What is the right age where you should introduce AI to students in a given environment? Teachers themselves are building lesson plans today, integrating AI as part of the learning process. How do I teach an English poem better using an AI tool? Now the student may not know the AI tool, may not even know what's at the back end of the AI tool, but just to use the tool to improve learning outcome is something. And if you go online Diksha, you would see almost like 250 odd lesson plans which are very well integrated with subject education teaching for younger classes. Another question from the room? Yes, please.
Good morning, good morning to the panel. So my question was specifically for Anil sir, but for the panel also. I am a engineering student, third year, and I am pursuing BTech in Artificial Intelligence and Data Science. Like these programs were started in 2020 by AICT, and I am from one of the first batches, pursuing it from GGS IPU Delhi. So the primary challenges which we face during our higher education is like for even training a basic CNN or a AI model, we hit the like limitation of the GPUs. For even using a basic Google Colab model, you have to like make a lot of effort. You may use i7, i5 PC, but it still hangs. So I would like to request like the panel, like the government should introduce some kind of a scheme for the students so that we can at least train our models or even do basic experiments with the GPUs. Ma'am, my second question is, request is to the panel, like despite the government of India introducing data.gov.in, like there is a lot of public data available, still it is very, very less as compared to the European data models like the US, Europe, and due to that, even if we train our model on those data points, our model is not effective in India because the data is not from India. Like for even basic collaborations, we have to go to AIMS, like in Delhi University there is Patel chest for even basic X-ray photos, because and the time it takes, like it takes nearly 6 months to 8 months to get even basic approval from the university. So even if I am not, I am just saying that the data could be privacy treated and it could be made available to the students. Ma'am, my third
okay, can you go with two because a lot of hands up.
Ma'am, last thing. Ma'am, the third issue which we face in, like all our faculties from CSE, and what they do is that they take a 6 months NPTEL course, they take a 6 months IBM course, Coursera course, and they like teach us. But the issue which we face is that the quality of the courses is not that good after the NPTEL courses.
Okay, get it. So, Dr. Tripathi, do you want to first talk about the first question, access to GPUs?
Actually, your concerns are very genuine. Even first two concerns. So I also talked about that. So it's important that all the data which can be made public should be placed in a single repository which is accessible to everyone. Because I'm also a professor, so I find that getting data from any government institution is a hard task. You don't get, in the name of privacy, you don't get, whether really it is private or not, but you don't get it. So for students and researchers, it's a real problem. So that government can only address and will certainly recommend. And under AI mission, I think for computation, a lot of infrastructure is being created now. Intel is also creating this IndiaAI data lab in Delhi, in Nilet. You can come to Kalkar Duma. We can help you. And we are creating 27 more now in India, which will be hub for such kind of trainings. And then it will again spread out to 137 more institutions. So in a very structured way, in hub and spoke model. But it will take some time. And it's a real challenge. And if you are computing power you are taking online, that cost is very, very high. So maybe some industry can support with CSR to the students for your university can approach to get, such things.
Actually, DST has some schemes which you can apply for to get it at a lower cost. So that's another possibility. Your third question, let me just kind of put it at ease by saying that computational thinking, algorithmic thinking are skills which the teachers are learning. Like all of us are learning, they're also learning these skills. So I'm sure teacher quality, you would see an improvement there. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I spoke a little bit about how in emerging technologies, AI, Gen AI, it is a challenge to get high quality faculty. What we see many campuses do in the country, and now, as a part of NEP, National Credit Framework, this is allowed as well, is a campus says, look, I'll take a 3-credit course from IBM or from another university on Coursera, make it available to students. Faculty play the role of a mentor as opposed to trying to teach that course. And then the campus does assessments during the semester at the end of the semester. And that works out to be a fairly good experience. So that's what we've seen some campuses do, but there's a lot more to be done in this space.
Okay, so I did have a limit of asking 3 questions. You've already asked 3 in 1, and I compliment you for that. But maybe over to you can catch hold of anybody, and we can address
so, Sweta,
that.
just about the data.geo. Here.
Yeah.
So, in fact, under this mission itself, the government is going to place, in fact, they've already started placing people, data officers in every ministry. And the job is to categorize the data to help the data owners. Generally, joint secretary rank officers are data owners. To help them to categorize into 3. What can we straightway put in the public domain? Second, where you need some permission. And third, which you cannot put and cannot share. Now, what happens, the administrators who are not trained, they find it difficult. They always have a fear, what will happen if something leaks out? And especially after DPDP Act, people are very, very careful. Because the fines are huge. So they don't want to do it. So that's what Abhishek and his team is doing to help the ministries to do that. And hopefully with that, we'll have more data on data.geo. In fact, I also suffer because when our trainees who are government officials, they want to do a project, they don't get data. So that's the thing which is being done by METI. I thought I'll just inform everyone here.
No, thanks. Thanks for sharing that. So trust me, everybody on the panel feels your pain points. And yes, we will include it in the recommendations. One last question before we wind up. I can see a hand there. Sorry. Yeah.
Somebody's with mic is ready.
Oh. Okay.
No, so one question which is really like I have been using AI from last 1 year when it came. So one thing which I am observing in my industry, I am part of Hewlett Packard Enterprise. So the logical thinking, I think if everybody start relying on Gen AI, on asking any questions, like if even my intern joined and I asked him to write a program, so he just get it ready, a Python program in just like couple of hours. So then I had to tell him that, see, if you are using Gen AI, you are getting the answer, but then logical thinking is not happening at that point. Logical, analytical, and critical. All these three things are actually coming at a stall because they have got something which is offering them a kind of a close answer, and now they have stopped thinking. So do you think that this is a problem in your, like, whatever domain you are interacting with young individuals? Like I felt that I had to tell them that you explore this in the internet so that you come to know 10 ways it will not work, so that you are already aware that, okay, this is not going to work, this is not going to work, and that way you have developed your logical thinking of 10 approaches by which it will not work. So that's how I promote in my way. So what is your thoughts in promoting that? If at all we have start using Gen AI, relying a lot, then all these new generations and even the generation who has joined our industry in IT, I see that as a problem, that logical thinking. They just want ready answer, and they are getting the answer and then not working with SMEs to get it done.
Okay. You want to go ahead first, Raghav, and then maybe Amit in your role as a CTO.
So I really think garbage in, garbage out completely applies to Gen AI as well, right? And I'm building my own personal skills. I've taken a course called Generative AI for CEOs, a leadership handbook. The instructor tells you there are 3 levels of usage of basic ChatGPT. What you described is basic query mode. You ask it to write a simple thing, it will give you a simple answer. But if you want to really leverage the power of this technology, the second level is called context enhanced mode, where you feed in context into the generative AI, you tell it what you're trying to achieve, and then you ask it questions. It will give you a much more relevant answer for what you're trying to achieve. But the third level is what the instructor calls thought partner mode. Can you use generative AI to be your thought partner, to actually enhance your thinking? What all of us do in daily life, right? When we are trying to think about something, we possibly speak to family members, to friends, to colleagues, and we sharpen our thinking by being able to do that. Generative AI has the power of the internet sitting in it, where it can really help you sharpen your thinking, and it can become a thought partner to you. It's a matter of building your own skills and saying, am I thinking at a basic query mode? Am I thinking at a context enhanced mode? Am I thinking at a thought partner mode? This is where the learning needs to come in, because the easy way to use generative AI is, you know, I'm going to Singapore for 1 week, write me an itinerary for a holiday with my family, right? That's the easy part of it, which is where I think garbage in, garbage out completely applies to this technology as well. So it's a matter of how we use it, pretty much.
That's great advice.
Yeah, I won't say that I don't share your concern, right? It's there, but I think it's there because we have been doing things in a particular way and expecting a certain kind of skill from our workforce, which is at that level. Given a problem, solve it. I think we need to evolve towards a place where it's curiosity-driven, continuous learning and continuous creativity in the technical domain also. What do I mean? Why should we limit the skill of our early career hires to writing these single Python programs? It's there because that's all you can do in a certain amount of time today. But if it becomes faster and quicker to do that, there is enough demand that the market will create for innovation at a higher level, at a system level. I think that we have not explored yet, because we've all been writing these programs. And also the pace of change, you know, like we're still talking about ChatGPT, but really in the tech world, ChatGPT is old news, right? That you give something, you get something out. It's become building workflows, agents, and you know, that's going to be that's already happening. And so the skill now needed is to be able to constantly build on top of these and innovate on top of these, which is a new kind of logical thinking than the coding logical thinking on which we have built such a big software industry, right? So it is difficult to go into that paradigm, but that is how we have to, it's pushing us to go in that direction.
Thank you so much. I am sorry we are already out of time, but just feel free to engage once we step out. I'm going to feel very bad by saying no to questions, because I love it when the audience asks questions. But we're just out of time. To very quickly wrap it up, I think what really kind of synergized is the thought process which we heard across different user profiles on how they need to upskill themselves, reskill themselves, the applicability, the relevance from an India standpoint, and more important, how everybody needs to work together, whether that's a public sector, whether that's a corporate sector, or the industry at large, or whether that is a civil society, to really build an AI-ready generation in India. There's a lot of efforts which need to go in that space. There are a lot of efforts where we will have challenges, not to say, but I think the vision which everybody shared, or the wish list which all the speakers on the panel really shared as to what would they want to do or see to get that vision into reality was really critical. So thank you so much, and a huge thank you to the audience for your participation as well.
A big thank you to our esteemed panelist and moderator. Your inputs, perspective, and thoughtful contributions have provided us with a wealth of knowledge and sparked meaningful conversations that will undoubtedly inspire further reflections and action, be it on personalized learning paths, need of inclusive and ethical AI, or on how the AI divide is growing. I'm sure all of this will help make India AI capital of the world. Now we'd request Dr. Tripathi to please felicitate the speakers and the experts on the panel. I would also request the panelists to please stay in the room for a quick interaction with our social media team. I would also request Ms. Savita Utreja, GS Cyber Security, Ministry of Electronics and IT, to please come up on the stage and felicitate Dr. Tripathi. Please. Thank you all for being a wonderful audience.